Hello, hello. So if you're ever wondering if there's no hope left for those individuals who have been doing things for quite some time and they've been set in their ways and there's no way to change them, there in fact might be hope. So can you teach an old dog new tricks? We're going to find out in this episode where we talk about, how do we actually learn and, what does our brain have to do with it and how do we adapt to new information in our brains? Yvonne, go ahead and kick us off.
Elena, something that is super crazy is that our brain, in fact, has more than 86 billion neurons. And in fact, these neurons are constantly growing and they are constantly connecting with each other. And this is what we call neuroplasticity, this possibility of connecting with each other. And every time that these neurons are interacting, it's creating like what we call a neural pathways, which is associating our particular actions or our behaviors. Now, what these connections between the neurons are done via something called synapses. So these synapses are the ones, in fact, communicating the information from one side of the neuron to the other, to the next neuron. And what we have is that we are storing constantly our beliefs or learning something new or becoming mindful of habitual reactions to unpleasant emotions. And this is stored, in fact, in these neural pathways. Pathways are strengthened by repetition. Actions that we don't do often are eliminated. These synapses, in fact, are erased. What does it mean clearly for us, in fact, that when we learn new skills, we are carving new pathways. The ones more practiced that we are using more often, in fact, are strengthened. And the ones that we are not using that often, or we learn once and then we put it aside, these synapses are weakened. In fact, what we mean is that learning without any practice is pure waste. It is continuously erased. At any age, experience is the way to create this new pathway, removing the old beliefs, the old habits. And the crazy thing is that we have a lot of unused synapses. More than 50%, in fact, of our synapses that get canceled when we are adult. Something that helps a lot, in fact, to create new routines or change our habits is often produced because of the dopamine. You know, the story about this molecule that provides pleasure. So the more we are happy or fulfilled by what we are doing, the stronger are the neural pathway. And we can, in fact, make it like that we are craving a new habit. So if we have to keep something in mind out of this a little bit scientific explanation, is that habits are, or changes in the brains or new learnings are produced by repetition. Repetition is made by experience. When we have experiences, we generate emotions. When we have emotions, we strengthen our pathways and we get rid of things. We can say that the brain is a little bit like a muscle that needs to be used with new experiences in order to learn new things. The other thing is that the brain, we always compare it to a machine, a program, a software. It is not really the truth because softwares are not creating new knowledge. They are not reproducing each other. They are not growing new memories by themselves if it is not programmed. Our brain does it by itself.
So what I'm hearing is that it sounds like in order for us to really keep using our brain and exercising our brain, we almost have to put ourselves in positions to sometimes switch up that routine. Because if we get used to something, it goes in the back of our mind essentially, right? And it just becomes so automatic that it's not challenging us anymore. And as you mentioned, like it's like going to the gym. You know, if you keep lifting the same amount of weights, eventually your muscles are going to get used to it and you're not going to get the benefits. You always have to increase perhaps the weight or switch up your exercise routine to get further results. So same thing, it sounds like, when it comes to just developing our brains, is it's something we continuously need to do. And the more often we challenge our brains, the more often we're learning new things or trying new activities, the more we get used to it, and the easier it is as you get older. Because as we know, people, there's a saying, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, but in fact you can, as long as you just continuously do it. Because what happens is that we just get so set in our ways and so set in our thinking, and we don't change for many years, perhaps sometimes, or sometimes for all of our lives, right? So, and this is when we become stagnant, essentially. So in order for us to continue learning and sort of, diversifying the neurons in our brains, and to keep them growing and the cells to keep developing, we need to continuously learn and introduce new things into our lives.
So we have to forget this old saying, I'm too old to learn new things, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. No such thing.
Thank you, Elena. See you next time.
Bye-bye.